Our first speaker this evening is for myself, and then John Casey with Global Climate Status, which I'm looking forward to that. After my presentation, we're going to take a 5 minutes break for a 7-inning stretch, and also just hold the questions and answers if we could to the end of the presentation, please. Prophecy. This first creates a plan that they think it's utopia, and it's not a utopia. And then it requires every person to live under that particular plan, just like they're doing for the kids, to live under the plan. What we are doing, we take regionalism. This is us up there. We're giving up our rights. We are giving up our authority to unelected bureaucrats, accountable to no one except the people who are paying for them. We are eroding our rights, and it's a war against its own people. It's Agenda 21, Sustainable Development. We have the power because we have our Constitution, we have our Bill of Rights, our democratic republic. Under regionalism, we have no vote. Under regionalism, we have no say. We are being programmed that we are destroying the earth. Environmentalism is the new religion. We have got to start standing up and speaking up against all this. When we went to this particular one on the 7th, and they really welcomed us. I was the only one there, to tell you the truth, Mark and I, as far as guests. They started off with the planning and growth management. This was the first thing that was there. And you can get up and speak for your first 3 minutes, like always 3 minutes, which is really not enough to really say too much. There were 6 agendas in here, and it took about 30 minutes for them to pass all 3. There was only one that was actually discussed, and it was a 271-acre in the north central part of St. Johns County, and they passed it. They all want to run yes, 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 yes. Teresa Bishop, it's from St. Johns County. She's the Planning and Zoning Division there. So she came over, she introduced herself to me, and gave me her card. The second part of the meeting, which started at 10 o'clock, and this was from the Board of Directors meeting. And that was really quite interesting, I guess. There was 5 or 6 new members that came in to join the meeting. The procedure ran about first planning and zoning. They were all in agreement with rapid concession. They all agreed to everything, just goes yay, 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 right and run. They sit in a horseshoe format, and there's no questions. They don't even discuss anything. They just say what it is, and they ask to be approved, and they approve it. One of the things that Teeple, he is the executive there, he talked about, they had a water management division talk about to excel the process of the permit department. And in the conclusion of that, Teeple was talking about we better not get ourselves in the same situation that we did to the Koonz, K-O-O-N-Z case. Does anybody know about that case? Okay, what it was, in June of 2013, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Koonz family in a case based on the taking clause of the U.S. Constitution. The taking clause is the last clause of the Fifth Amendment. It limits the power of eminent domain by requiring just compensation to be paid for private property. Now what happened, this gentleman, he had 15 acres. He wanted to build a home on 3.7 acres. And what happened, they said, okay, you can go ahead and do that. But if you do that, we want to take the balance of your property of the 15 acres, less than 3.7 acres, and we want to put that for conservation easement. So when you have conservation easement, you can't even walk on it. They can only look at it. And in addition to that, you're going to have to pay $150,000 for improvements on an unrelated plot on a state-owned land. And he says, no, I'm not going to do it. So he did fight the case. Koonz Sr. did die. They did win the case, and it was through the Pacific Legal Foundation, and the son is actually the one that's taking over now. And Mr. John Casey will be talking about this, but They had us a brochure there from the National Association of Development Organizations, and what it is, it's for sea level rise. They have a public-private regional resiliency committee. Yes, and it's led by a private sector to develop regional strategy. So in other words, they don't want us to build anywhere near there would be any kind of water, because they want us away from the water. When I was down at, because I went to more meetings down there, but there was a gentleman there and he says what they're going to do, anybody that's living on the water, they're all going to have to move west, because they're waiting for 3 million people to move down here to Florida. So how do we win this? We have to unite. When I look back, I don't think there's any public record of anybody being there from the outside and even saying anything at all. We have to go to the meetings in groups. You have to go to meetings in 10 and 12 groups. You can't, one person and myself and my husband can't go to these groups to make any difference to them. You have to go in groups. Vero Beach down there, what they did to defeat 750, which is the same thing as we're doing here, they went actually 20, maybe 20 people would go, they'd say, hey, they're having a meeting here, let's all go to the group meeting. And they'd stand up, each one would take their 3 minutes. And you take 10 people, that's half an hour, and they're listening to what we have to say. That's the way it has to be done. We have to speak up and we have to question them. The regions, the regional council, they go back every so often to their plans and see where they are in their plan, and they make sure that they're up to date on them. So they're constantly checking on their plans. We have to communicate. We have to get the message out in the radio, the TV, newspaper. Talk to your neighbors. Remember, all it takes is 10% to win, because those 10% will tell somebody else. So it's talking to your neighbors. I don't know if anybody really does, because they keep everything pretty secret out there. This is the gentleman that's the head of it, Brian Teeple. There's his phone number. You can contact him by email. And you really should, you can just pull up their website, you can see what's going on. That's our R2, that's trying to get businesses involved in the region. They were very proud of that. It really was. Partnership grants, HUD. Once they sign an agreement with HUD, they have to do exactly what HUD says. They can't get out of it. And that's how some of the cities and councils are taking in the illegals, because they're told they have to do it because of the grant. So when you take grant money, you're obligated to the government. The DOT, livable, walkable communities. We went over that already. The EPA, this is a development of human health, and we're talking about Obamacare and the environment. This woman, I know they talked about it at the REC meeting, Bill was there. She is a non-voting congressional representative in the District of Columbia. And it's really kind of funny when you hear these people talk. They have no idea what they're talking about. She talks about the Parliament in Canada versus the separation of powers that we have in the United States of America. She's angry too.
You don't have a right to know everything in a separation of powers government, my friend. That is the difference between a parliamentary government and a separation of powers government.
She got it backwards.
She's also ugly.
You don't have a right to know everything in a separation of powers government, my friend. That is the difference between a parliamentary government and a separation of powers government.
I was emailing somebody back and forth, and they were talking about Flagler County. And when I went to our the city manager here, he gave me a report of everything, and it goes from St. Johns County, Flagler County, Duval County, and Baker County. And here's what they do: they want them to select different things, and this is what really scared me most of all. This is from St. Johns County now. They want them to vote on it, and a public record and open meeting exemptions for Economic Development Agency, EDA. Confidentially, they enhance confidentiality by allowing private deliberations of and the receipt of confidential information from the EDA by the Board of County Commissioners without triggering disclosure. They don't want to tell us what's going on in these meetings. They want to have more closed meetings, and that's in St. Johns County. Flagler County really flipped me out, because they're talking about They want to know if they want to restore funding for Florida Forever. That's in your area. And the requested action is support the full funding of Florida Forever. That's what they want to do. And Florida Forever, you know what all that's about. Pull that up. I went before the council here at our meetings here, and I said, I asked them who attends the Northeast Regional Council, and the mayor said she did, but she really doesn't, she goes somewhere else. But I asked her who she reports to, and she says, well, you can go and get the information, which I did, and the feedback. But most of all, I asked her, I says, do we have any idea in the city, do we have a plan for when illegal immigrants are going to be coming here? And they're coming, I think in Duval County, I think they're accepting some of them there. I don't know if anybody knows that. But they are accepting illegal immigrants. So we have to be careful, we should have a plan. And they just looked at me, they didn't say a word.
No plan.
No plan. Sustainable development, rooted in the UN, United Nations. It's a communist organization, and it believes in New World Order. And Bush Sr. actually have on film where he says about New World Order. What's their goal? Replace America with the United Nations, open borders and eliminate sovereignty, and you know that just from what's happening right now. Replace family with school, which I'm sure Debbie talked about. Training ground with students where they're predetermined on what they're going to be doing in their life. And that's really sad. I mean, that's from all the way up from kindergarten. What protects us? Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution. If we can still have a Constitution. It guarantees all Americans a representative form of government. So therefore, the bureaucrats at these councils is unconstitutional. And the Constitution right now, it still is the supreme law of the land. Article 1, Section 8, Congress will make no laws, cannot form political agencies, and cannot take any actions that seek to regulate outside of these enumerated powers. Laws versus statutes. Our laws come from nature. Statutes do not apply unless we, the people, voluntarily give our permission. The statutes come from the government, not from us. Treaties are not supreme over the United States Constitution. Centralized power erodes personal liberty and freedom. And we are losing our liberty, and we are losing our freedom. And we've got to realize what's going on in these councils, what they're doing, that we have no idea what they're doing. They're taking our land, and they're taking conservation easements. And when they do that, they take them off the tax roll. What is unconstitutional? Regional councils. Northeast Regional Councils, the 750 down in Florida. Miami's almost all gone. It's 65% is all government owned. It's if you really do the research. This wonderful man here, Harvey Rubin. He's been the clerk of courts down here since 1968. You see the UN symbol behind him. And he says private properties will have to take a back seat for the good of the collective. Everything's collective. They're taking away our individuality, and we are our own property. And then Gary Lawrence and all the, he wanted to change the word. We're catching on to Agenda 21 Sustainable, so we have to change it. So we'll go to growth management or smart growth. They keep on changing the names on, just like they do for education. Public-private partnerships, that's government with companies, corporations, and then is fascism. And we know from World War II what fascism is like. It is communism too. Affordable housing, zoning change. There's another one, traffic calming, that's a real good one they use, and land use change. They keep on using these, they keep on changing the words. They make it sound great. This here is a book that you can get on the on Amazon, and maybe even, where the heck is it? And it is, yeah, I'm the book now. It is what they taught the kids in 1994. And where's my book? Bobby Dorn. Here it is. And this is, they taught the kids in 1994, and what was it about? It's about Agenda 21, saying how we pollute the world, how we're the problem, meaning humans. The military waste is the biggest polluter of the earth, and how they're taking the money away from the military. And you know what Obama's doing right now. And then here's also a quote from Al Gore and also Mikhail Gorbachev. And this is, like I say, the kids were learning then. It's pretty interesting. You can really get the book. I do this all the time. My place is local. This is what they, policymakers, Global Biodiversity Assessment. This is what the books that they train these people on. This is another one. This is what they sent to our councils and all. Growing Smart Manual. It tells them what to do and how to educate the people and how to make them think the way that they want us to think. Earth Charter. Here's another one that they send out, and this goes to our representatives here in where we live right now. All these books, they all go. And they train them and teach them. I'm trying to hurry. The 3 E's is from the Agenda 21 is environment, economy, and equitable. Social equity, social justice, which means redistribution of wealth. Environment, we know what they do. That's how they get it. And economy, what they're doing with our economy, they're all doing it all through the education, just like Debbie was talking about. Start with the young kids. Because once you learn something, you can't unlearn it. Regionalism, the death to liberty, we talked about that already. They're actually putting animals above humans. That's the Wildlands Project. This I always bring up because I want people to realize that all that red and all that yellow is somewhere we cannot step our foot on. So all these things are saying the path and for hiking and for biking or whatever, they actually want to take our land from us. They want 50% of the land, and that's exactly what they're going to do. And this gold part right here, that's a zone of cooperation. You know, that's how the illegals are coming over. This is a little fuzzy, but it's Florida map. You see all the red and the yellow? We can't touch that property. We're not going to be able to walk on that property. All those little black dots, they're human settlements. Human settlements are 10,000, minimum of 10,000 people, max of 50,000 people. And I told them when I went down in Boca, and I said when you're building all these apartments, I said, this is going to be a human settlement, and that's exactly what Boca's ending up to be. I got an email from somebody from Boca. I don't know how true it is, I have to check on it, but it was saving Boca Raton from the illegals. So we'll see what's going to be going on down here. There's like 2,000 apartments down there. There's 67 counties in Florida. They want to make it into 11 regions. And each one changes. You can see we're the first coast division. There's your 750 down there. The girls down there in Vero Beach, they did fight them in 4 counties, actually did not actually join the 750. The Wildlife Corridor. Yesterday, their bill 1784. This is really important. It sailed through the Appropriations Committee. That created a 5-mile buffer zone around the military bases. Do you know how many military bases we have in Florida? That means they took an additional 5 miles. They don't want us walking on the land. They want to keep us in those little human settlements is what they want to do. You can look this up yourself. It was part of it in the papers that I had there. It's a 2025, and it's the future land use. So this is just of St. John County. Each county has their own future land use. You have to check it out yourself and see what's going on as far as rail, trail, where they're going to have mixed use property. Oh, go on 95. Anybody been on 95 recently? There's apartments on both sides. I mean, just apartment after apartment after apartment. All cookie cutters. They don't even look very nice. TakingLiberty.us. This is by Dr. Michael Kaufman. And if you pull that up, I'll tell you what, there's information on everything. Excellent, excellent presentation. It's TakingLiberty.us. If I'm talking too fast, I'm sorry. This is John Hallman. This is who I invited to come September 21st. He lobbies in Tallahassee for us, the people.
So we're not trying to be unreasonable, we're trying to be reasonable, and that's what we're asking you to take serious discussion. Please take this into consideration, and we urge your support today. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, you recognize. Can I ask, what does this have, what does the government ownership
of some lands, like conservation lands, have to do with private ownership of a land enough to get equity to buy a house? I mean, how does that threaten anyone's ownership of their own land? In other words, second part of the question is, if you're for private property rights, then one of those rights is to be able to sell your land. We're not talking about any condemnation of land, we're talking about when there's a willing buyer and a willing seller. So what's wrong with that?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman?
You reckon that?
Well, on to that issue, the state or government has an unfair with other buyers, I'm sorry. Otherwise, they have money. Federal government's got money. We all have money up here. So how does somebody, if I want to buy a piece of land that's maybe some swamp land, I can't compete with y'all. Y'all can come in and buy it, so it's not fair, okay, on that issue.
But for the person that owns it and wants to get their maximum return, isn't the more competition to buy that land, the better?
Well, sure, it's better, but again, so you're only looking at the one side.
So you want to maximize what your land is worth, so why would you want to limit who could buy your land?
Because
the
now you're
more
going to take...
buyers you have, the more that land is worth.
Now you're going to take that land off the tax rolls. It's not going to be used for productive purposes. And we are asking, just take a look. Does this serve a public service for everybody? This is a needed piece of property. Again, I think we're trying to be reasonable. We're not saying you can't ever buy conservation land. We're just saying that there shouldn't there be some criteria?
Well, would you consider you and the people in your organization conservatives?
Sure.
Would it dawn on you that conservative and conservation are from the same root word?
Well, yes, sir. Then you're saying that individuals should not be allowed to be conservationists. You're saying that only the government can protect land and keep it in good order. So you're saying individuals they just can't do it. So we need to take it away from them, put it in government's hands, because people can't be good stewards of the land is what you're saying.
But we're not taking it away from anyone unless they want to sell it.
You're taking it off the rolls. It's government-owned versus private. It is a government versus private property issue. Because in Monroe County, there's only 3%. There's only 3% available for private property. Do you feel comfortable with 97% of Monroe County being owned by some level of government?
We don't answer the question. We ask the question.
So that thing that y'all work for us is not true, right? Y'all don't work for us. I get it. Okay.
You can pull up his website, it's very interesting.